And welcome to Evan Eischen Radio Podcast episode number 2. And we're going to dedicate this one to some sports, and we're going to throw back to, if you've been a staple listener of KCOW, you know our next guest as the guy who invented CC Sports Talk, who in March was opining for the Oregon State Beavers to get to the NCAA tournament. He got it. It's his birthday today, and he is the newest member of Delta State University, and he is Mr. Cody Clark. So first of all, happy birthday.
That's quite an introduction. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate it. It's been a good one. 22 years old, so that's, another day. It's okay.
Let's start off with what exactly are you going to be doing at Delta State? Where is Delta State, and how did that happen?
Delta State University is in Cleveland, Mississippi. It's about 2 hours south of Memphis, Tennessee, about 2 hours north of Jackson, Mississippi. Talked to the sports information director, the head of external relations and athletic communications at Delta State, Matt Jones. Big shout out to him for giving me a chance to talk to him. We kind of hit it off in an initial exchange. He offered me a graduate assistant position, and I ended up taking it. There was the same weekend as our conference track meet, and so we had our conference track meet, and I got hired, and then I went to Europe with a study abroad trip for 3 weeks. So it was really quite a few days for me. Pretty exciting all around. Just getting to go to Europe, having getting hired as first job out of college and that kind of stuff. So just super thrilled to be heading down there. Obviously going to miss Forest City, going to miss Waldorf, but I'm really excited for the new opportunity that's coming up for me.
And for the people like me who are still looking for that first broadcast job, I am beyond thrilled that you were able to get that. You're the hardest working person I've known over the last years. You're a grinder, and if you want something, we know you're all going to get it. And for someone like me who's still looking for that first broadcast job, I am beyond thrilled for you. You know who else is beyond thrilled?
Who?
Steve Kerr. His team is 2 wins away from back-to-back NBA titles, which is more impressive that this is his first 2 years of coaching on any level, but he was the architect behind that mid-2000s Mike D'Antoni Phoenix Suns team that had Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash and those guys, which is ironic because it was a done deal. They were going to draft Steph Curry and then trade him to Phoenix for Amari Stoudemire and cash considerations. And at the 11th hour, Golden State pulled the plug, decided we're going to keep Steph Curry, and
they're pretty glad they did.
They're pretty happy that they did. So games 1 and 2, Cleveland got manhandled. Like there's no other way to describe it.
Dismantled, mauled. Any adjective you want to use to describe it is pretty fitting for how the first 2 games have gone.
The perfect image, if I could sum up the first 2 games of the finals in a GIF, or GIF, however you pronounce it, it's when Kyrie Irving went up for that layup in game 2 when it got stuck on the rim. That is the perfect way I can describe the first 2 games. They lost game 1 by 15 points. They lost game 2 by 33. They were down by 27 at the end of the third quarter. Draymond Green right now is playing out of his mind.
Yeah, he is.
Steph Curry and Klay Thompson have had, for them, off games.
Ho-hum.
LeBron, he's looking around thinking, what do I got to do to beat these guys? So, game 3. Will Cleveland steal a game at home? Because you know that I don't think the NBA wants a sweep. Cleveland certainly doesn't want a sweep. What do you think?
Do they steal a game at home? If Cleveland's going to win a game in this series, I see it coming in these next 2 in Cleveland. I don't know. Watching the first 2 games, it makes it very difficult for me to say. I mean, it's very difficult, I think, for anyone to watch how the first 2 games have transpired and not think that Cleveland's going to get swept. Kyrie Irving has been trying to go one-on-one the whole series. LeBron is averaging, probably pretty close to a triple-double in the neighborhood, but, the turnovers that LeBron's had, Kevin Love is now out with his concussion, with his head injury. He has not been cleared for Game 3. Kevin Love hasn't been a factor. All of the guys that Cleveland, because they knew coming in it was going to be a tall task, but everyone that was going to need to have an impact for Cleveland to win, has not done so, and it's resulted in a minus 48 when you look at the point differential after 2 games.
Well, this was the series that going in, it was, all right, this is the chance for Cleveland and Golden State to meet at quote-unquote full strength. Last year, Kevin Love got hurt in the first round against Boston. Kyrie got hurt during overtime of Game 1. So this is the opportunity. Okay, these two teams are going to meet in the playoffs at full strength. They're finally going to get to see what these teams can do. And Golden State has been what I think most people thought the playoffs were going to be before it started. They were just going to run roughshod through everybody except Oklahoma City. But part of me wants to say that it's over, but the other part of me looks back to where we were 2 weeks ago when OKC was up 3-1, and we were ready to bury the Warriors. Oh, it was too much, too soon. They needed a little adversity. It's time for Kevin Durant to get back to the finals, and then we all know what happened. Golden State won 3 games in a row, and they've taken the first 2 games to the finals.
I'll buy that, but this Thunder team would destroy Cleveland right now, too. I think you look at the opponent, it's different. Cleveland's in a different situation. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, the supposed big 3. There were a lot of people that were knocking the Warriors last year for beating opponents without their best players. The Golden State Warriors followed up the best regular season in NBA history by showing in these playoffs that they can still knock those teams off, even with those teams, quote-unquote, at full strength. And Cleveland has been at full strength. They won't be in this Game 3, but they've had Kyrie for both of them. He's been, Game 1, he was 7 of 22, was trying to do everything one-on-one. If you go back and watch
he's getting worked on defense.
They're getting killed.
He's getting worked
They're
on
absolutely
defense.
getting killed, and you look at both ends of the floor. You watch Cleveland come on offense. J.R. Smith doesn't touch the ball. It's stagnant. The ball stops at LeBron, or it stops at Kyrie Irving multiple possessions at a time. And you flip onto the offensive end of the other end, and the Golden State Warriors moving it around, perhaps overpassing at times, but you see them share the basketball. Sean Livingston is going off for huge games. Leandro Barbosa is shooting like 80% or something crazy in the finals. They're sharing the basketball extremely well, and for everyone, Steph Curry was the regular season MVP. He should not have been unanimous in my opinion, because the MVP award, the most valuable player, if you took Steph Curry off the Warriors, they're probably still maybe like a 50-win team. If you take LeBron James away and I respect the heck out of LeBron. Not the biggest fan, but I respect the heck out of him. You take him off this Cleveland team wins like 30 games max.
Well, in 2009, the season before he left, the team was 66-16. Mike Brown won Coach of the Year. The very next year, they were within 2 games of setting the NBA record for most losses to start a season, got the number 1 pick. So
he's worth a lot. But anyway, I digress there, but it just the way the Warriors have shared the ball offensively and their team defense has been impeccable, and Cleveland has had zero answer at either end of the floor.
I'm going to pose a theory to you that I thought about, but I'm not 100% if it's real. Golden State, all they heard last year was, if Cleveland was healthy, you wouldn't have won. And all they've heard in the last couple weeks is, LeBron's more valuable than you. You didn't deserve to win the award. I think that pissed them off. And they're out there. They don't want to beat the Cavs. They want to destroy them.
And they have
they've done that.
They're halfway home
in the first 2 games. That when all these guys say, I don't pay attention to that stuff, they pay attention. And all they heard after he won the award was, Curry's not the most valuable. LeBron's the most valuable. And, well, if this team was healthy last year, you wouldn't have won. That they took it personal. And it looks like they've taken it personal.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you look at it, and there were a lot of people saying, if Cleveland was at full strength, if they played the Rockets, they beat the Rockets without Beverly, their point guard, or whoever it was, and if these teams were at full strength, I don't know about the Golden State Warriors. Then they went 73-9 in the regular season, and missed Curry for a little bit of time in the playoffs, but did just fine. Went toe-to-toe with Oklahoma City in what we could have just been the NBA Finals right there. That's easily the most exciting series of the postseason, which is why I am a fan of reseeding 1 through 16 when we get to the playoffs, just because, the Eastern Conference is horrendous, but we can talk about it at a different time. But at the same time, I think Golden State heard all these teams. I think you're exactly right. Golden State heard all this and said, you know what, this is ridiculous. We're the defending NBA champions, and you're going to discredit us? Okay, we're going to go out and beat the representative from the East. They're beating their brains in right now.
So it just came in that the Cavs are likely not going to start Kevin Love, so he might play, but it's looking unlikely.
That was interesting because I saw earlier that he wasn't going to be cleared, so maybe in all that semantics.
You know that he wants to play.
Oh, of course. And he's going to do everything he can to play, but at the same time, the team doctors are going to say they're going to make sure he's at full strength before he does go out and play.
So if you're Cleveland and you lose badly, like you get swept and you lose every game by at least a dozen, we've heard people saying that they need to blow this team up. Obviously, you can't get rid of LeBron, so it's either trade Kevin Love, trade Kyrie Irving, or go from there. Would you blow this team up? I mean, I thought about it, but I don't think I'd blow it up.
No,
you ran into history this year.
Yeah, I don't think you'd necessarily blow it up. I think they need some serious help. I think Cleveland needs some serious help on the bench. I think one thing that I think Golden State has shown throughout the last couple of years, but especially in this postseason, and this postseason, is how important it is to have guys 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That second 5 guys that can come in. The Warriors haven't missed a beat when they get Livingston, when they get Barbosa, when they get Bogut, when they get those guys on the floor. They absolutely do not miss a beat. And I think they've shown, like, hey, you have to have those guys to be successful in this league. Cleveland has LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and basically nobody else. And they're getting killed. Golden State, I think, has shown that these teams, I think a lot more teams really need to focus on their bench. The San Antonio Spurs were so good for so long. They were so deep. They played team basketball on both ends of the floor. And when Ginobili was the sixth, he was an impeccable scorer out of the sixth man spot. Like, you have to have a bench to be successful. And Cleveland right now is getting nothing out of their bench. Mozgov barely plays. Richard Jefferson played like 20, 30 minutes of the last game and had his highest point total of the playoffs so far. Like, they don't have anybody. They can't keep up. Whoever Golden State keeps shoveling out there, they don't skip a beat. And Cleveland has no answer offensively or defensively. Speaking
of Richard Jefferson, this coming across the timeline from the official Cavs Twitter. Kevin Love out for Game 3. Richard Jefferson will get the start. So Kevin Love not going to play.
Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. That's what they got. And for the first 2 games, they have shown me nothing to believe that Golden State will not win this game. Now, I am rooting for Golden State. I do enjoy watching Golden State play. I'm a big Steph Curry fan. Loved watching him at Davidson. He was in North Carolina, South Carolina. Saw some Davidson basketball. Was able to be familiar with him early on in his career. Love Steph Curry. Love the Warriors. It's just really hard for me to see how Cleveland, it looks like they've given up. At the end of that game, you look at the end of game 2, like halfway through, they just looked like, okay, we're just going to mail this one in because we can't beat them. That honestly was what it looked like on their faces.
We've seen these teams pop up, and they have 1 to 2 great years in all kinds of sports. And we think it's going to last a long time, and it never does. We thought after 2012, OKC is a young, vibrant team. They're going to own the West. They haven't been back to the finals since.
Again, the bench.
We thought that Jim Harbaugh's 49ers were going to be a dynasty. That team's leveled off. Harbaugh's gone. They're in the toilet.
Everyone talking this dynasty talk and all that crap, I'm not buying in to any of that until we see what they do next season. You start putting this together, because to all of the Warriors, the Golden State's credit, their front office staff, they have built an impeccable team, an impeccable franchise. From where they were to where they are now is unbelievable. And the job that Myers and company have done in that front office has been amazing. But to talk about all time and all that kind of stuff, let's see this. This is year 2. Let's see 3 and 4 and 5, and let's see you keep getting back to the finals, and then I'll buy into that dynasty stuff. But I'm not going there yet.
They're more than likely going to lose Ezeli and Barnes and maybe a couple other guys. And there are a few reasons why we think those teams are going to last a long time that usually don't. It's either guys get hurt, or guys leave, or the coach leaves, or the rest of the league just catches up to you. And
which I think the rest of the league could catch up, but I have a hard time seeing. And guys go get paid. They go get the money. They go get the contract. They go play. But always for me, it's tough. I mean, they're in a situation, the Warriors are, where, I mean, this team, you keep this. They've shown this team that can just absolutely destroy people. So it'll be interesting to see contracts and everything, and who the Warriors choose to pay, who they go after. There's rumors about adding Kevin Durant, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
They're going to have to gut the team to make that happen.
I was going to say, they'd have to get rid of like Barnes and Thompson.
They'd have to gut
like 3 or 4 guys, which does not make sense. And I don't think they would do that to bring in Kevin Durant. I think they would be a little bit smarter than that. But at the same time, I don't even think Kevin Durant would consider going there, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't think Kevin Durant's going anywhere.
He's going to stay in Oklahoma City.
Where else is he going to go that will improve
He's going to sign
the situation?
Big money deal with Oklahoma City. And, dude, Oklahoma City looked freaking good. Billy Donovan, new coach at the helm. I think Oklahoma City might, add a guy or do what they're doing, and they're going to be there.
I mean, they were 1 3-minute sequence away from winning that series in 5 games.
Absolutely,
and in the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Like, we thought it was over 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That they've solved the Warriors' riddle. Billy Donovan is going to do what no one thought they could do and beat Golden State. And then they won the last 3 games, and this is where they are.
That's only
but
Golden State can do.
Where is Kevin Durant going to go that is going to improve the situation that he has now? He's not going to go anywhere else.
Nowhere unless he's going to be Carmelo and just stay in New York and get paid and be on a bad team.
Well, he's not getting paid to be on a bad team. He's got Russell Westbrook with him.
No, right. I'm saying Kevin Durant's going nowhere because there's no other situation in the league that would put Durant in a position to still be a perennial contender come playoff time. There's nowhere else in the league, I don't think, that he could be there and do that. Maybe if he goes to the Eastern Conference, all that talk that was early on and when there was talk about where Kevin Durant might go, there was a lot of talk about the Washington Wizards and how he could go home, that whole deal. I think that would be one of the places that he could go because the Eastern Conference is so pathetic, and it's getting better, but because the East is so bad, I think Kevin Durant could go there. If he could play with John Wall, play with Bradley Beal, add a little bit there, I think they could have something working, but I don't see Durant going anywhere.
Well, why would he go to Washington? That team hasn't won 50 games in a season since 1978.
I agree.
Think about it. It's been almost 40 years since they won 50 games in a season.
I hear you. He's not going anywhere. He's staying in Oklahoma City. That's my gut reaction. Unless we see some crazy the Lakers come out and put together, go buy 3 dudes and that kind of deal.
Which they could do.
Which they could very well do.
I mean, because the cap is jumping from about 65 million to about 90 million, so everybody's going to have money. But that's the thing.
That helps
with
Golden State. They can re-sign guys.
It doesn't. But here's the thing with that increase. It doesn't legislate competence. Not everybody's going to be worth that max money deal. So the savvy, smart guys, there's a reason why the same 5 teams are on top every year, because they're just smarter than everybody else.
Yep, they are.
And they're not going to throw $30 million a year at Hassan Whiteside. They're not going to throw $25 million a year at Mike Conley. Like, they know that we can build smarter and cheaper, and it's worked.
Well, Damari Carroll in the Raptors, what did he get? He got 2 or 3 years at $33 million.
He got like $60 million over like 4 or 5 years.
I was going to say, I thought he's making like $30 million over the course of a couple of seasons, and probably not the best move on the Raptors' part.
In today's NBA, you don't even have to start, and you can make $12 million a year.
No, I know.
But speaking of getting paid, the defending Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos, did you hear the offer that they...
Was it like 6 years, $114.8 million or something?
They're going to give Von Miller, they offered him a deal worth $114 million over 6 years. There's a proposed offer. Nothing has been concrete. It would be about $39 million guaranteed over the first 2 seasons.
Good Lord.
And for whatever reason, talks right now are stalled, and this is absolutely the right move for Denver. Absolutely. It's the right move.
What do you mean?
Give him his money.
Oh,
he's worth it.
No, I agree. I think he's worth it too. But was it 6 years, 114 million? That's
6 years, 114.
Hey,
million.
he proved himself, man. He earned it. If you look at what he did and you look at what the Denver defense did this year, one of the great defenses that we've seen in a really long time. I think that the Denver Broncos had. I'd pay him. I'd pay him too. He's a cornerstone guy. He is a stalwart on the defensive side of the football. He does everything. I would absolutely pay him his money. So we'll see. We'll see if that 114 entices him. But I cut him a check.
Indeed, we will. So we're going to take a quick 60-second timeout, and then we're going to talk about NFL OTAs and some predictions for the upcoming NFL season with the birthday boy, Cody Clark. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson. For a good, uncomplicated way to exercise, take a walk. At any age, walking is one of the best ways to keep your heart fit and your joints limber, without the injuries that jogging or some aerobics can cause. Ask your shoe salesman for a shoe that's designed for walking. And ask your doctor to help you plan an exercise walking program that's right for you. Soon, you'll be on the road to better health.
A message from the Will Rogers Institute, wrinstitute.org.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Back here with Cody Clark. 22nd birthday. You going to go out?
Oh, man. No, I'm watching the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers game, sit down with a bag of chips and some queso, and I'm just going to sit and relax, and I'm going to watch the game.
Fair enough. So we talked about what we thought was going to happen for Game 3. I think we're both in agreement that Golden State is going to win. I don't know if they're going to win handily, but I think they're going to win. And if they win the series, it'll be in 4 games. So we are a little less than 3 months away from football season, but as the sports axiom works, it is never too early to talk football. We don't have preseason for a couple more months, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to give my 8 predictions for the upcoming NFL season, and then you're going to grade them on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being most likely, 10 being go sit in the corner and think about what you've just said. So, number 1, and I feel fairly confident in this one, Ezekiel Elliott wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Running back position, Dallas, has traditionally had one of the best offensive lines in the league. From the running back position, he's going to immediately get touches. I agree with that. I'll buy into that. I think he's going to get a lot of touches early on. He's a very talented back. We'll see how he holds up, and we'll see how Dallas uses him. But I think he's going to have an immediate impact on the Dallas Cowboys.
Number 2, at least one coach will be fired during the season.
Oh, of course. We usually always have one of those. Who's it going to be?
I don't know. Who is it going to be?
It's a good, you have your usual suspect contenders, but I'll buy that. I think we've seen. It'd be an interesting stat to see how many years that there's been a coach fired during the season. That'd be an interesting stat to look up.
Here's my wild card. If Minnesota has a bad start, I think Mike Zimmer.
You think?
If they have a bad start, if they start the season 1-5, 1-6.
Okay, I don't see them doing that. So that may.
That's
but
why
at
he's
the
the
same
wild
time,
card.
yeah, that I don't know. That's a good point. It might
Number
happen. Who
3,
knows?
at least one of the top 2 quarterbacks drafted, Wentz and Goff, will start at least 6 games their rookie year.
Cool.
Really, that's all you got?
Well, okay. You have Goff in
Los Angeles
with the Rams, and you have Wentz in Philadelphia. They're both going to go in. They're both going to get a shot right away. They're going to be in the competition. I think the Rams' job maybe, although you do have Foles, you do have, for some reason I think that the Rams are going to, those starts are going to come from that Rams job. But everything I've seen on Carson Wentz, I like the kid. We'll see how he competes moving forward as he tries to nail down the starting job. It'll be interesting to see what both of those teams do. For some reason, my gut instinct is that Goff is gonna go ahead and get those starts with the Los Angeles Rams. Just picked him. New location for the Rams, moving back to L.A. I see it coming from Goff, but maybe Wentz and company will prove me wrong.
Maybe. I mean, it's Los Angeles, and you got to do something to attract interest. And why not? Well, I wouldn't do it week one, but at some point, advertise, hey, he's the number 1 overall pick. He's from right across the street at Berkeley.
Yeah, no, I agree. Come see him.
Hometown kid.
Come see him. Yeah, I just have a gut feeling I think it's going to come from Goff, but then now that we've said that, Wentz will start 16 games and do just fine, so it's the way it works.
Number 4. Only Carolina and New England will repeat as division champions. Every other division has a new champion.
Okay. I'm curious to see what the Miami Dolphins do. Very, very curious. I think New England's still the class of that division, but I'm curious to watch Miami. I'm very curious to see what the Jets, how they're going to work out. I'm curious to see Buffalo. That division always intrigues me, so interesting to watch that. Carolina should have that one. We should be able to chalk them up.
Yeah.
You think Denver? You think there's a slip there? You think
Kansas City? Kansas City's going to catch them?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if I'm gonna buy into Sanchez with that defense. They're gonna be okay.
Or Paxton Lynch or Trevor Siemian
or whoever it is. That's a tough one. We need to track that one.
Yeah, 4 out of the 6. Because remember, Green Bay didn't win the NFC North last year.
Right.
Minnesota did.
Which I think Green Bay will this year, unless Minnesota has shown us they're here to stay, which I hope they are. They're fun to watch. I mean, they're loaded on defense. I love their young defensive talent. So we'll see what happens there. Indianapolis, Houston, Jacksonville, Tennessee is going to be an interesting division to watch as well, because Houston, the division winner this year, at 9-7 or 8-8, whatever they were. Jacksonville's gotten a lot better. I think Tennessee's going to take a step this year.
Smoked in the playoffs.
So that could be an interesting one to watch too. We could have, maybe we see Tennessee or Jacksonville up on top of that.
Well, I mean, assuming the Tom Brady 4-game suspension stands as it does right now, the AFC East, which you can normally lock up, okay, yeah, whatever, Patriots are going to win. If that still holds, all bets are off. Maybe
it could get a little dicey.
They have a slow start. Maybe they go 2-2, 1-3, 3-1. Who knows? The
Let's
next
go
one's
faith in Belichick.
Number 5. Speaking of AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars winning season. They go 9-7.
Oh, that's a big one. I'm a huge fan of what Jacksonville's doing. 9-7. You're there. You go. Bold prediction. I love it.
A gutty 9-7.
Yeah. That's the only way they're going to do it. But I like what they're doing. They are setting themselves up to be very good. To be very, very good. I think they had an excellent draft this year.
This is a make it or break it year for Gus Bradley. Shad Khan, the owner, said, all right, we have 3 years to get in your system. It's year 4. We laid the foundation. Go out there and win, or else.
They need a 500 record.
He's going to be coaching. He's going to be coaching for his job.
Yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't be, but he is.
Most likely will be.
Number 6. At least one starting quarterback will have a season-ending injury by the end of October.
Oh, wow.
So by Halloween, at least one starting quarterback will have a season-ending injury.
It's going to be Sanchez. He's going to get his knee blown up.
Oh.
And then Denver's going to be lost at quarterback. I don't know. Who knows? I'm just spitballing here. Who knows?
You never really know who's going to get injured.
Oh, you have absolutely no clue. I just said it.
If you had to bet on one, I think Bradford's the most likely.
That's a fair point.
He feels like he's made of glass.
Well, the butt fumble could happen again. He could fall, trip, bust an ankle, tear something. Who knows? I'm calling it right now. Hopefully not, but it's going to be Denver. They're going to get the new quarterback, and then they're going to get an injury, and they're going to be scrambling.
I'm gonna say at least one. At least one of them gets hurt by the end of October. Number 7, and we're getting into a little crazy land here.
Oh Lord.
We're going to get into a little bit of crazy land here. I don't know how this is going to work, but a defensive player becomes NFL MVP. I mean, J.J. Watt having 20 sacks didn't really work. That's because Peyton Manning was having an ungodly season when that happened. But a defensive player wins NFL MVP.
Okay.
Von Miller?
Maybe Miller. See, and it's unfortunate because I feel like defensive guys the past, I mean, since Woodson won it, I mean, you have to almost be a hero every single game to have a chance to win it defensively. When there's a lot of guys that make a huge impact and are extremely valuable to their defense. I think you take Von Miller away from Denver. I think you take J.J. Watt away from Houston, and those have big impacts. And those guys still put up the numbers even though they're being keyed and cued on every single week in and week out. So I think it's kind of unfair that you basically have to be a superhero to win the thing defensively nowadays, but we'll see. You have to think it's going to be J.J. Watt or Von Miller. You have to think those two are probably the leading candidates. If it were to happen, those would be my first two guesses.
And number 8, and I'm going on, I flew over the cuckoo's nest in this one. Tennessee does not have the worst record. San Francisco has the worst record. They go 3-13. They will have the number 1 pick in the 2017 draft. Tennessee does not have the worst record.
Okay.
San Francisco does.
I'm buying the Tennessee. I think is going to take a step this year. San Fran, it's a mess. Hiring
Chip Kelly at this point, I don't know if it's going to work.
It didn't work in Philly.
Well, it worked in Philly. I mean, he had back-to-back 10-win seasons with Mark Sanchez and Nick Foles.
Well,
I'm not going to buy that just because he had one bad season, the guy can't coach.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's necessarily the guy to get it done. And 10 wins is 10 wins, but Philadelphia hasn't been anywhere in a while, and you hire a coach to get you somewhere. And yes, 10 wins is maybe a step up from where they've been, but still didn't get you anywhere. So I still think they're still looking in that respect. But the 49ers are an absolute mess.
Well, in a quarterback-centric league, and your head coach openly says, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback, anybody can win in my system, not a good sign. And then they gave Sam Bradford all that money. And, I still don't know what they were thinking when they did that.
I don't think anyone knows what they were thinking when they did that.
So, do you have any predictions on the upcoming NFL season?
You're putting me on the spot.
They can be...
I think I don't necessarily bold or whatever, but I think New England, assuming they're without Brady, New England's going to start 1-3. They're going to be without him for 4 games. New England's going to start 1-3, and that race for that division is going to ramp up right away because New England could be playing catch-up from behind. In terms of the AFC South, I honestly think there could be like a 3-way tie record-wise for that division. I think there's going to be, Houston, I think Jacksonville. I think Tennessee is a little bit farther away than Jacksonville, but I could see Houston, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis all 9-7.
Okay, well,
I could see it. That division is going to be interesting for me to watch.
New England's first 4 games,
who do they have?
We're just assuming that Deflategate suspension holds.
Been back and forth, whatever.
All right. First game is Sunday night at Arizona.
That could be a loss.
Probably a loss.
Without Brady.
The next week is, 3 of the first 4 games are at home.
Okay, that helps.
They have 3 straight home games after this. Sunday, September 18th at noon, they get Miami at home. Probably win, however, Miami always plays them tough. Then the next week they have a short week. They have a Thursday night game against Houston, still in New England.
That could be trouble. Those short weeks, that could be trouble.
Then they'll get a de facto bye week, and then the next Sunday they'll get from September 22nd. They'll play again on October 2nd against Buffalo at noon. So which one of those four do they win? Probably Buffalo, because
I think they win. I think they win against Buffalo.
Since
they could go 2-2 though, because I don't know about that Houston game. See,
the Thursday night games will get you.
I want to buy into what Houston's doing, but at the same time, They didn't show up in the playoffs after having a decent year to come back and win that division. So I don't know. I think New England's going to start 1-3. I think they're going to beat. I think they're going to beat Houston. I think they're going to drop Miami and Buffalo, and they're going to beat Houston.
Those Thursday night games will get you.
Those are tough. Those are difficult, especially if they're going to be without Tom Brady playing the quarterback position. That could be very much of an adjustment.
But they don't have to travel. They
don't. That's a big deal.
That's a big advantage for them.
I agree. That's a big advantage that they get that short week game at home. But that'd be interesting to see. The Deflategate stuff has been crazy.
Yeah, because the road team on that, they get done playing on Sunday. They'll get Monday off. They'll have Tuesday practice. And then either Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night, they have to fly to the city, check into the hotel, maybe do a practice while they're there. So they'll only get maybe 1.5 days of practice. So the fact that the Thursday night game is at home is a massive advantage for them, that they don't have that abbreviated practice schedule. And Houston, I mean, I want to believe Houston. I really do.
No, I do too, but it's just like, I just have trouble doing it.
But Brock Osweiler is 6'9", but still somehow gets passes batted down at the line. Like, I don't get it. He's 6'9" and still somehow gets balls batted down. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm interested to watch Houston because I think they've put some pieces together. They went out and spent some money. It could be boom or bust for Houston. They're either going to be. I think they're either going to go 10-6 and they're going to do pretty well in the division, or they're going to be struggling at 6-7 wins and they're going to struggle to get to that number. So we'll see. We'll see where they get.
There are a couple of other sports stories in the news. There's the Stanford case, but I don't think there's anything we can add to it that hasn't already been said.
No, I don't want to go
There's
there.
the Baylor case, which, again, I don't think there's anything more we can add to it that's already been said.
Louisville, so all the other schools.
Louisville, we're just going to bypass that. But I'd like to make one point. Like, really, the coach knows nothing. Egomaniac, power-hungry head coach who dots every I, crosses every T, shakes every hand. Then so you're expecting to believe Boeheim knew nothing. Rick Pitino, brothel on campus, knew nothing.
Williams at North Carolina.
North Carolina cheating scandal that they've been investigating for like 5 years. Knows nothing. Art Briles knows nothing. Like, you expect me to believe these guys know nothing?
I'm not buying it.
No, I'm not buying it either. But we'll never know.
No, you won't ever know. And you got Pitino at Minnesota who's in a mess too.
Because
with the jet, the
private
flights
jet,
and the jet fuel and all this, and these cars and weekends and all this kind of stuff, he's in trouble. You had the University of Minnesota struggling because they had their. Did you hear about the wrestling program?
Yeah, Isaiah went about that.
Yeah, they had like a drug ring going on in the rest. So Minnesota's really struggling with their, with those guys. But I agree with you. There's no way that I will ever buy the fact that the coach didn't know.
Yeah, and about Rick Pitino and about his son, Richard Pitino.
No way.
In the words of the great philosopher UJK, everybody want a ball.
Oh my
so
Lord.
Why not take that private jet? Why not take that private jet everywhere? Why would I drive 2.5 hours when I could take this jet and be there in 45 minutes? Like, let's...
Catches up to you. You can't ever get away with anything.
It really does. It really
whether
does.
Whether it's right away or whether it's 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road, they always find it.
Those have been the two, I guess, the Stanford is a quasi-sports story that has dominated the news in about the past week, but there's really nothing new that we could add to it here.
I'm not going to go there.
Other than it's disgusting, and I'm not going to really add anything to it as well, but I'd feel remiss if we didn't at least mention it.
No, that makes sense.
So, moving on now, back to the NBA, and the cap is going up, but next year is when we have the crazy free agency year, assuming that everyone follows the playbook and they have the 1-year deal, and the next year when the cap really goes up and it goes from $90 million to about $130 million, and then everybody's going to have massive contracts and you can sign 3 or 4 max guys.
Yeah, but that just leads to the Damari Carrolls and the those of the world. They get overpaid, and it's just it's the way that it's set up. But it's just, I mean, I feel bad for a team that's. I agreed with your point earlier in the show. There's a reason there's 5-6 teams consistently there every year, is because they make the right decisions, they sign the right guys, they know when to spend money, they know when to make trades, and they know when not to do those things. They know how to get the best out of their talent. There's a reason those programs, those franchises are there every single year.
That's what you look
and
at.
And then there's a reason that, you know, you've got the Washingtons and the Charlottes, and then you've got the Phoenix Suns of the world, and you have all those other teams that aren't there when it comes down to it. They just don't, you know, they throw money at guys and all this kind of stuff. So there's, you know, it sucks, but there's a reason.
I mean, look at the teams in the 4 major sports that are habitually successful. St. Louis Cardinals, Green Bay Packers, San Antonio Spurs. You think of them as stoic, boring franchises. There's not a lot of flash, not a lot of style. But I honestly think that I don't want that. I want, as a fan who I wouldn't say understands the right word, but appreciates the minutia and how you put a team together, I love well-run, stable organizations. Like, when you work at a company, you need to know, like, if you get hired at a company or you are looking at a place, you want, like, for radio, do you want to work at a radio station where it's not buttoned up and everybody has their act together and the program director just lets everybody go rogue and they can do whatever they want and there's no format? And I mean, people think that structure kills creativity, but I disagree. Structure creates. It allows you to do those things. And I was at odds with that for a long time, saying that if it's just disciplined and it's structured, that it's boring and it's stale. But we've seen that it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's how you run a successful business in any walk, whether it's sports, whether it's a restaurant, radio station, doesn't matter. Your structure needs to be buttoned up, and that's exactly what they have.
Well, you see the Warriors, the Cavaliers, you see the Thunder, you see the San Antonio Spurs, you see those franchises. They all the points that I had already made. They know what guys to draft. They know when to make trades. They know when to spend money. They know when to not do those things. They just make mostly the right moves. And guys don't pan out, you know, guy doesn't live up to his contract, gets hurt, all those things happen, but they make mostly the right moves.
That's not how it works in life. You don't always bat 1,000. Not everybody pans out.
No, nobody pans out, and none of them bat 1,000, but there's a reason that those teams are there. And so it's always interesting to me to see, and it's going to be crazy when this cap number goes up. You just watch the ticker, watch the free agency, and you'll see the Milwaukee Bucks go spend $40 million on a dude. You'll go see the Phoenix Suns sign somebody. You'll go see the Hornets go get it. The Pelicans. It's always intriguing to me where guys end up and the teams that are doing that, because the vast majority of them are struggling to put themselves in position to ultimately be successful as a franchise. And I would think that your goal is to get to at least the playoffs every year, and that's something you build towards. And some of the teams are in more of a building process than others, but some of them it just baffles me sometimes.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll give our parting shots, and we'll predict the final score of tonight's Game 3. And because it is Cody Clark's birthday, I have a surprise for him that will play through this commercial break. If you've listened to KCW in the last couple of months, you know what this is. We'll be back shortly.
Bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out, bring 'em out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Woo! Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Bring bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out. Bring 'em out, bring 'em out.
Welcome to CC Sports Talk here on KZOW.
Dallas 14th in points allowed, 8th in field goal defense, and that says a lot. Here comes McCready. Oh, he just sucked the gravity right out of the building. What a play by teammate.
All now addicted to tempo. Fast, 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 fast. Got to go fast, 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 fast. You know who doesn't play fast? Alabama, Ohio State, LSU. They don't play fast.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
But when he is right, I'll take him over Dwight Howard. I will. More offensive skill, I will.
No,
hey,
you didn't say that. No,
he's just as big, just as strong.
No, you didn't say
he's
that.
He's more skilled. He's a way better free throw shooter.
Yeah, the what?
Hey,
how?
We're talking about a dominant force, man.
And now, here's your host, Cody Clark.
As a frequent guest on that show, an occasional co-host, I felt as a birthday present, since you are leaving us this time next month, you deserve to hear that at least one more time.
Thanks.
And I'll actually get you something for your actual birthday. I'll get
no.
you like a card or something.
Nothing is required. Thank you. I appreciate it. The shout out on the air is more than enough.
All right, so our parting shots. My parting shot is going to be, well, I'm gonna skirt that, and I'm just going to give what I think the final score of tonight's game is going to be.
Okay.
Warriors win 115-104. They win by double digits.
Again,
but
that's a high
barely.
Cleveland, you're giving Cleveland a lot of points. I think if Cleveland puts up 104, LeBron's going for like 40.
Which he hasn't done since January, but that was against the Sixers, so that doesn't count. All right.
He might. My parting shot is going to be to call out each and every member of the Cleveland Cavaliers, because I know that they're a better team than minus 48 points. I don't care who it's against. Cleveland is better than that. At least I would like to think that they're better than that. And the reason being is because they have the greatest basketball player, in my opinion, on the planet in LeBron James. LeBron James has had himself a ho-hum NBA Finals, the first two games. Yes, he has been in double figures. Yes, he has averaged, close to 8 or 9 rebounds and 8 or 9 assists to go along with his double-digit points. But that is simply not enough for LeBron James. LeBron James needs to score. He needs to get to the basket. And Golden State has done a pretty good job defensively against him, where some will say last year LeBron did whatever he wanted. He was just the only person doing it for Cleveland as Cavaliers fell last year. This year, Golden State's doing pretty well defensively. I think LeBron isn't playing as well as he did last year as well, but I'm calling them all out. J.R. Smith needs to get more than 0 touches in the first quarter. Richard Jefferson's going to have to be big tonight with Kevin Love out. Kyrie Irving needs to run the pick and roll and stop going off a screen, go on one-on-one, and shoot a 16-foot jumper that's flat off the back iron. Those guys need to pick it up, because if I was in it, your dignity is on the line. You're down 0-2 and you have gotten trounced twice, essentially. 33 once and then 15, but you have gotten trounced twice. You have not showed up. I know this is not how LeBron James wants to go out. So I'm calling him out. And I think he's going to respond. I think Golden State's going to win the game, but I think we're going to get 2015 Finals LeBron, where he's going to get 38 and 8 and 9, and it's going to be a little bit more of a game, because I don't see it being 33 points again. There's just, LeBron's going to show up. Cleveland's going to show up at least a little bit more, but I'm going to call them out because I know they're better than that, and they have just looked like they've just given up. And I would like them to not give up, because a sweep is just, I wish that Cleveland would be able to win a couple of games. I think it would be much more interesting.
And I think that is a good note for us to end on. Once again, Cody Clark, the birthday boy. No. This is not going to be the last time that we get together. No. When the NBA Finals end, you better believe that the very next day we'll be here to break it all down and how it all happened. So, until next time, for Cody Clark, I'm Evan Eischen. We will be back later next week. Or this weekend if it's a sweep.
We'll be back sooner.
sooner or later to break down the entire NBA Finals, how it happened, how it didn't happen, and we might trade some funny Waldorf stories. Who knows? But until next time, we'll get back to your regularly scheduled programming on KZOW 91.9 Active Radio. And I'd like to take a minute to thank all of the people that have sponsored us over the years. Cabin Coffee, New to You Consignment Shop, Borderline Pizza, Sumhing Chinese Restaurant, and all the other sponsors over the years. Thank you for helping us keep the mics and the lights on in the KZW studio. Good night and good luck.